Also be the most delicious with my devilishly good party desserts. I started the party with my spooky s'mores trifles, so gooey and sweet. And then I moved on to that giant Halloween pumpkin bundt cake. But now it's time to let your imagination fly free with my Batty chocolate mint cheesecake. Starting with a brownie base, not your everyday cheesecake crust. So to start the brownies, I've got 2 ounces of unsweetened chocolate, and I'm going to measure 1/3 cup of boiling water and pour it over top. Now I just whisk it to make sure that it's melted in and there are no lumps. So now to add 1 cup of granulated sugar. I'll just whisk this in. Now for something fun, my little secret weapon when it comes to brownies. Mayonnaise. I have 1/3 cup of mayonnaise here, and I use this in place of butter. So I'll whisk that in next, along with 1 whole egg and 1 egg yolk. 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla. Now my cheesecake filling is going to be mint, so 1/2 teaspoon of peppermint extract. And I'll whisk this all in. Oh, I can really smell that mint. And now for the dry ingredients. 1/2 cup of all-purpose flour. And I'm sifting that in with 1/4 cup of cocoa powder. So the last ingredient in the dry ingredients, 1/2 teaspoon of salt. And then I'm putting it in the bottom of a 9-inch springform pan. Now this is all set for my oven, which I've preheated to 350, and it just takes 20 minutes to bake. Ooh, this brownie looks so good. Now, you want to let the brownie cool completely before you make the cheesecake layer. And what I have here, 3 packages of cream cheese softened to room temperature. First thing I'm going to do is cream the cream cheese just to fluff it up a little bit. Now it's time to start adding my 1 cup of sugar. So I'm just going to add to my base 1/2 cup of full-fat sour cream. I'll also add 2 tablespoons of cornstarch, a tablespoon of vanilla, and a teaspoon of peppermint extract. Now for the eggs. I need 2 whole eggs and 1 egg yolk. It's the yolk I want for the batter. And now on low speed, I'll add the eggs 1 at a time. All right, I've got a beautiful mint-flavored cheesecake batter here. But you know what? It's not really spooky looking. Well, let's make it a little eerie with some green coloring. I'll add a little green food coloring paste. Give that a stir. Oh, all of a sudden that's a bit eerie. And now I'll pour this over top my cooled brownie base. So what I've done is increase the heat of my oven to 400 degrees for 10 minutes. Then I turn the oven right down to 225. So over the course of 40 minutes, that oven is slowly lowering in temperature. The cheesecake is heating up and cooking gently. Then, for the final 15 minutes, I turn off the oven, open the oven door, and just let the cheesecake chill out in there. And it just finishes setting perfectly. Oh, lovely. The oven is barely even warm now. That gradual temperature change is the trick with this cheesecake. The finishing touch is a sour cream top layer. And I'll just sweeten it up with 2 tablespoons of sugar. And now I have a slightly darker green color. So I'm going to dollop it on and then spread it. And you just spread it into an even layer to cover the entire surface of the cheesecake. This looks pretty stunningly spooky, but I need to get a bit batty and have some fun with the decor. Chocolate mint cheesecake is a storm cloud of whipped cream with flying bats over top. So I want to get the cheesecake ready to present. I'm gonna carefully lift up the brownie and then take some chocolate cookie crumbs and press them on the side of the cheesecake because the cheesecake itself is soft and it'll hold the crumbs. So it sort of paints a picture of that dark and stormy night. Now, I want to make some fondant bats. And I want to roll out this fondant not as thin as my leaves. I've got my bat cookie cutter. All right, this is starting to look spooktacular. And I'll insert bamboo skewers. See, this is why you have to make sure your fondant dries. Oh, it's a floppy bat. After a couple hours of drying, your bats will stay upright when you drop them into your cheesecake. These bats are looking spooky enough, but to give them an eerie glow, I like to paint some eyes and drop silver dragées. Here we go. I'll set these aside to dry. And here they are after a few hours, dried and ready to take flight. So the final step now is the storm cloud whipped cream. I have a cup of whipping cream in my mixer already, and I'll add my black food coloring. And I'll also add a tablespoon of skim milk powder because it stabilizes the whipped cream. That way you can fully assemble this dessert ahead of time. As I'm whipping the cream, I'll add 2 tablespoons of sugar. Now I'll simply dollop this on top of the cheesecake. And before the bats go in, how about a bit of hail? Some colored dragée. One peeking at us right up front. Now, isn't this a stunning party dessert? A little bit spooky, a lot playful, and definitely delicious. And with everything you've learned, now baking for your Halloween party isn't so scary. So whether you're making my spooky s'mores, a giant pumpkin bundt cake, or this Batty chocolate mint cheesecake, I hope you take all of these spooktacular Halloween ideas to your own kitchen to bake and enjoy. Now, what is my Halloween costume going to be? I could get a bit batty, or I could dress up as pumpkin.